Hello, hello, hello. What do you think? Are you ready? Are you ready for the holidays? I am so excited. I hope you are. I know sometimes the holidays are not always a good time for people, but if you are someone who celebrates the holidays and if you are someone who enjoys or in the mood for a little bit of backing off on the business and paying a little bit more attention to your personal well-being, I am excited for you because I think it is a good time. But before we go there, it's the end of the year and we are here today to talk about why is it so hard sometimes to grow my business? I love this topic and I want to warn you right up front that today is going to be just a little bit different. I come quite often to our weekly Growing Your Business with funnels/relationships sessions with an agenda in mind, a little bit of teaching, a little bit of coaching, a little bit of inspiration. You'll get that today. But today really is about just my perspective around what it has taken for me to overcome the thoughts in my mind around whether or not it's hard or easy to grow a small business. I think you're going to get a lot out of it. I think that it's going to become a time of reflection for you. At least that's my intention, is can we think about what's happened in 2022 and how are we going to move forward in 2023? Before we go there, I want to welcome you all. This is Susan from Unstoppable Women in Business, and I run this weekly LinkedIn Live show right now on Wednesdays at noon and try to bring any topic to the table that is important for you in helping you grow your business and reach your goals. Now, I am always interested in having guests join me on the show. So if you are someone who would love to talk about either how you have grown your business yourself, or if you help people grow their businesses through funnels or relationships or in any way, if you add value to people in that way, I would love for you to reach out to me. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. We can connect and have you on as a guest. I wanted to get started right away with our topic of the day, which is all about, is it hard to grow a small business? There's so many different ways you can think about it. But before we start thinking about what we're going to do next year to grow our businesses, why don't we take a look back and see what you're thinking about 2022? Because 2022 was definitely an unusual year. Here's my experience and the people that I've been talking with, their experience. 2022 was this really unusual time. I don't know if it'll ever happen again because there was so many convergences of things that were occurring. First of all, it was post-pandemic. People were restless. We had been cooped up for 2 years, and 2022 began as a year of really being able to breathe again, get out there and feel safe. And I think what happened is that people were tired of being in fear and being in this unknowing place. I believe that people said, I'm going to go into the next year in a different way. I'm going to learn from what I went through in the pandemic, and I am going to look at my life and my business in a different way. And so what happened from my perspective and from many of the people that I've been speaking with is people started making buying decisions differently. The messaging that you may have been using pre-pandemic was just not cutting it any longer. It wasn't resonating with your ideal clients the way it had in the past. And things had to change just a little bit. But it takes time to notice these things, and then it takes time to shift. That was one thing that was happening in 2022 that made the year a little bit different. But then you can layer on top of it, as we moved into mid-year, this economic downturn messaging that we were hearing from everywhere. Our quote unquote news authorities, which I don't believe are really news anymore, I think they're all just about getting ratings and sensationalizing what they're hearing, started to pump out the message really loudly that the economic downturn was going to really impact businesses. And it has. It definitely has. But to what extent and for how long? So those are the unknowns. Yes, without a doubt, we saw layoffs in major corporations. We saw a lot of news about different things, the gas prices, the supply chain issues, oh my gosh, there was just so much going on that, again, it influenced the way our buyers were making purchasing decisions or not. Right? So all of these different things in play made 2022 a pretty interesting year. So I want to ask you a question. I know you can't answer me here, but I want you to think about this. If you were going to rate your business in 2022 on a scale of 0 to 10 in how either easy or hard it was to grow your business in 2022, where would you put yourself on that scale? If 0 is, it wasn't hard at all the way up to 10 being it was impossible to grow, where are you on that spectrum of how challenging it was to grow your business in 2022? If I am going to be honest with you and transparent, which I always want to be, I would probably put my own businesses on let's say a 6 on that scale. It wasn't horrible. I did good business. Did I reach my revenue goals? No, I didn't. Did I set some pretty darn lofty revenue goals? I absolutely did. And I believe that everyone should. I would rather fall a little bit short of a push goal than to play it safe and make that goal and wonder what else I could have done. That's just my philosophy around setting revenue goals. But I put myself at a 6. It was not the easiest year. It took me a while to run a couple events, do the things that I've always done that have done really well for me, and notice that the reaction of my community wasn't exactly the same. And then having conversations and really digging in and looking at metrics and looking at analytics and saying, okay, I know what I need to do. So there was a pivot that had to happen and a shift. As I reached towards third quarter, I really fell into what I would consider a great rhythm for the year. But it was late, right? So here's the reason I ask you this question and I share with you what happened in my business this year is that as you think about the initial topic at hand, why is it so hard to grow my business? Sometimes you have to look at not only the external indicators, what's happening out there, but I really, really want you to think about what's going on in your head, your mindset about your business, because even that statement, why is it so hard to grow my business, is literally just a thought, just the way you're thinking about a situation that is really fairly neutral, right? Every thought we have in our head is a construct. It's just the perspective that we have about a situation. And some of it's true and some of it's not true. So I always want you to be thinking, if you are thinking about something from a particular perspective, if you're thinking about, it's so hard this year, it was hard to build my business, what influence will that perspective have as you move into 2023? Here's what I know for certain, because I've coached so many people on sales mindset and sales revenue generation perspectives. Whatever you think to be true, you actually will make it true, because there's a physiological effect every time you think a thought that creates an energy in you that then informs what you are able to actually do, the actions that are available to you to take, and the results that you can generate. It's really important to think about your business in a way that will serve the goals and the results that you're trying to achieve. So it's just a really quick aside around mindset. I know no one wants to. It's kind of like going to the dentist doing mindset work. Nobody really wants to do it. But when you leave the dentist and your teeth are clean and they're feeling great, you're like, dang, I'm glad I did that. That's very similar to mindset work. So anyway, in order to think about the whole topic at hand around why sometimes business does feel a little bit more challenging than others when you're trying to grow it, I want to use a metaphor or an analogy. And I'm going to talk with you about someone who I have such high respect for and esteem. It's a CEO that I worked for several years. His name's Joe Terry. He is an amazing CEO that has run multiple companies since I have known him, but he has also done 12 Ironman competitions. while running these organizations, not just small companies. These are companies that he has taken from very small up through the buyouts and the private equity groups and everything. So he's a real go-getter. Now I want to use Joe as an example, as well as what he does in running Ironmans, as an example or a metaphor for what it takes to have the full package on running your business from the right perspective. Joe just recently did his 12th Ironman in Hawaii, and he did a post on LinkedIn that I would love for you to check back in on. He said it was not an easy experience for him. As a matter of fact, I believe he said it was one of his most challenging Ironmen. Just to set context on what I'm talking about, an Ironman, if you're not familiar with it, is an endurance race that includes first 2.4-mile swim in open waters. Okay, so he was in Hawaii, so he was swimming in the ocean in Hawaii, 2.4 miles, 112-mile bike ride through, and Hawaii is built on volcanoes, so it is not a flat surface. But after he got off the bike, 26-mile marathon. All of this over the course of 12 hours. Think of your day yesterday. Think of when you got into your office yesterday, maybe about 7, 8 o'clock, and then go through dinner time, post dinner, into the hours of hopefully relaxing. An Ironman athlete is physically pushing themselves, not only physically, but mentally pushing themselves that entire time. It is incredible that anyone would do this. But here's the point. You don't wake up one day and look at the events that are out there, perhaps next weekend, and say, oh, I think I'm going to participate in this triathlon. No, that's not how Joe did it. That's not how anyone does it when they are a triathlete. As a matter of fact, Joe said he has a 1-year training plan. I love the words that he used. Some of the monotony and adversity that he has to face when he is training for a triathlete is some of the hardest things to overcome to actually get him to that day. I want to bring this back to your business, and I want you to think about if your goal is to push through the finish line of a year, hitting your targets, having a successful run. Do you have that training plan? Do you have a master plan that you follow? Even when it gets monotonous, even when there's adversity because it doesn't go the way you want it to go. Are you sticking to your plan? Do you have a plan that fuels your body, that literally prepares your body for this endurance? Do you have a plan, if you are a business builder, that fuels your business? There's so much to be said regarding the correlation of what it takes to be a triathlete and what it takes to run a successful business. It has to start with a well thought out plan way before your actual end goal is even close to being in sight. Imagine being this triathlete who's on the first leg of the run. You're in the water and you are just swimming your heart out, trying to get to the end of that leg. You can't see the goal at the end of the marathon yet. It's not even in sight. You have to be able to say, I can get through this first leg. I just need to get through this first leg. What do I have to do right now in the moment to be successful in this leg of my race? I want you to think about that from your business perspective. So many times we are consumed with the end goal, our revenue goal, the big nut that we want to crack for the year, but we don't back up and look at our quarterly goals. We don't look at our analytics and say, am I making progress towards this first leg of the race? Do you even know what your metrics are that would keep you on track in the first leg of your race, that would get you in position to then take your second leg of the race where you need to go to be successful? There's so many things to learn about planning and managing that plan and keeping on track that literally inform our brain on how easy or how hard it might be to actually grow your business. As humans, we are wired for change and transformation. It keeps us safe and it keeps us happy. That's what the primitive part, the part of your brain that's not logical, but rules the roost sometimes, it's looking for instant gratification. So when you set a goal that is an annual goal, but you don't set little mini goals along the way, this brain gets extraordinarily threatened. It's like, how are we ever going to do this? I don't see the end. I don't understand what's going on. To help work in conjunction between your logical brain and your primitive brain, setting these little goals helps to quiet the part of the brain that's saying, this is too hard. This is way too hard. Give up. Don't go forward. Give up. And what you have to think about is, if I have small goals along the way and I'm making progress on these small goals, each step that I take forward cumulatively moves me towards that big goal, and things become less hard. Remember, I said it's a mental construct, people. It is the way your brain is thinking about it. I want to bring one other thing into the topic right now really quickly, and it's in regards to, again, our perspective about running a business and even our life in general. I call it the 50-50 concept, the 50-50 of life, the 50-50 of business. And here's what I mean by that. Once again, our brain is always looking for easy. It wants to expend as little energy as possible, and that's what keeps us surviving as a race, is to have enough energy for times when you are actually threatened. It's always looking for pleasure, and it's looking for things to be easy so that you're not expending too much energy or not getting yourself in trouble. But because of that, we think things should be easy all the time. We are not built necessarily for handling adversity. And if you're not aware of it, it can really take you down that rabbit hole, down that whole thing I was talking about, where your mind will say you're not safe, don't move forward. So the 50-50 of life is this: without a doubt, there will be 50% of your time where things are going phenomenally, where your path is clear and you're moving forward and you're feeling really good. And then there's going to be 50% where it's a little bit more challenging. I mean, sometimes doggone right down, boom, bad. 50-50. Know this. Know that when you're in that 50% and things are going well, you're like, amen, I am enjoying this. But know that when you're in that 50% where you've tried something, it didn't go the way you thought it would, and you're a little bit upset, maybe even pissed off, just know that that is a moment in time, and the next 50% is around the corner, the part that makes it easy. No one promised us that growing a business was always going to be easy. No one promised us that every single thing we tried would work. No one. And I don't know anyone in business who literally has had that experience. Every entrepreneur I've worked with, every entrepreneur I've talked to, especially the ones that are out there, they're the big influencers. They're the ones that are in the 7-figure businesses, and they're now talking to everybody about how to build their business to that level, will tell you there were times when they launched something and it flat out failed. There were times in their business when they were ready, literally, to find a job and shut their businesses down. But the ones who stick it out, the ones who know that if you are having a challenge right now, it's an opportunity to move through it and figure out what's your next best move, and pass through that 50% of the time without resisting it, without feeling guilty about it, without beating yourself up. Move through that period of time knowing that on the other side of that 50%, there's going to be some wins. There's going to be things that will fuel your sails and will get you going and make you happy that you have stuck to the course. I want you to think one last time about Joe participating in an Ironman. I want you to think about, as he rounded the corner in the race part, the marathon part, it's been 11 plus hours, getting close to 12 hours. His body is racked with pain. There's not a part of him that isn't fatigued and literally running on adrenaline. He's coming close to that finish line. Even with the pain that he's feeling, there's this overwhelming sense of accomplishment. The journey was hard. The goal is sweet. As entrepreneurs, we are setting ourselves up for a journey that will be challenging. I won't use the word hard, but it's challenging. It's nothing like what a triathlon can do to your body, but it's pretty close, right? But the journey is worth it. Now, Joe could have quit anywhere along that path. And he said he thought about it a couple times. He thought his body was not going to get him there, but he stuck to the course and he kept moving. And it was his mind, his mental strength and agility in his mind that allowed him to make it all the way across that finish line and celebrate himself for being able to have the stamina to do that. That's the ultimate goal. It starts with a plan. It sustains itself as you work your plan and have small goals that you're working towards. And then it's the endurance and the mental and physical agility of sticking with it so that when you go over that finish line, you feel the accomplishment that you can do. It is just amazing. Listen, I know that this was a little bit of a different take on our sessions together. I hope that you find a nugget in here that will make a difference for you as you grow your business in 2023. I would love to invite you to an event that I'm having next week that could help you create your master plan. The event is called Create Your 2023 Master Plan. We're going to spend 3 hours together next Friday, December 16th, starting at 11 o'clock in the morning. And I will walk you through the process that I use personally every year as I put my plans together for both of my businesses. I'm not kidding you. It is what sustains me when things get a little bit tough. It's what sustains me as I'm moving through those phases and accomplishing small goals. So I would love it if you could join me. You can DM me if you want more information, but let me just give you the URL super fast. It is uwib.info/2023. Pretty easy, right? I'll also have this in the post notes so that you have that available to you. If you can make it, it would be wonderful to see you. If you can't make it, reach out. I'd love to get to know you more. And I look forward to being able to connect. Well, not eyeball to eyeball on YouTube, but at least through comments, we'll be able to chat with each other when I'm doing these weekly lives 2023 on my YouTube channel, which is, if you want to check it out, Unstoppable Women in Business. I create a lot of great material, and I even do some fun shorts that are interesting to consume as well. So check me out over there and like and subscribe if you like what you see. Have a great day today, everyone, and let me know how I can support you in the future. Take care, and I'll talk with you again very, very soon. Bye.